Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatkripa tamaham vande Shri Gurudin Tarane Paramananda Madhavam Chaitanya Ishwar. Hare Krishna, welcome. So we completed second chapter 29th shloka, right? Till 29th shloka we have already done. So we'll start with 30th. So please repeat after me. Dehi nityam abadyoyam. Dehi nityam abadyoyam. Dehe sarvasya bharata. Dehe sarvasya bharata. न त्वं तस्मात् सर्वाणि भूतानि
तस्मात् सर्वाणि भूतानि
न त्वं शोचितुमर्हसि न त्वं
शोचितुमर्हसि.
Okay. Any volunteers who would like to read the translation in purport? Anshu, want to read?
What is sent to Bharata? He who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore, you need not grieve for any living being. The Lord now concludes that the chapter of instruction on the immutable spirit soul and describing the immortal soul in various ways. The Lord Krishna establishes that the soul is immortal and the body is temporary. Therefore, Arjuna, as a Kshatriya, should not abandon his duty out of fear that his grandfather and teacher Bhishma and Drona will die in the battle. On the authority of Krishna, one has to believe that there is a soul different from the material body, not that there is no such thing as a soul, or that the living symptoms develop at a certain stage of material maturity, resulting in the interactions of chemicals. Though the soul is immortal, violence is not encouraged. But at the time of war, it is not discouraged when there is an actual need for it. That need must be justified in terms of the sanction of the Lord, and not capriciously.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for reading. So here it is mentioned by Krishna. So who's speaking? Krishna is speaking to Arjun. And what is he saying? He's saying, so he said descendant of Bharata, because Arjun, um, he is coming in a lineage of very great kings, and one of them was King Bharat. King Bharat is the king on whose name India is called as Bharatvarsha. So that King Bharat, he is a very respectable personality, and he was a great Kshatriya. So Krishna is using that name that hey, you are coming in this lineage of Bharat, O descendant of Bharat. So just one word using of that is Bharata. Bharata means one who is coming in that lineage. And what is Krishna explaining? Krishna is saying, after so many shlokas in which Krishna mentioned about different properties of the soul, Krishna is finally concluding here by saying, one who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore, need not grieve for any living being. Um, in the purport, Prabhupada is explaining that this section of the chapter, which was talking about the properties of the soul and how the body is different from soul, the body changes, the soul doesn't change, the soul cannot be burnt with fire, killed by any weapon, cannot be moistened by water, cannot be withered by wind, and so many things were mentioned about the soul. Soul doesn't have mutation, it doesn't have change, it remains constitutionally the same, and the body keeps changing. So all these things about the soul were mentioned previously, and now Krishna is concluding that the soul won't be slaved, so do not grieve in that way. And Prabhupada is explaining here that Arjun, as a Kshatriya, should not abandon his duty. It's a duty of Kshatriya to actually protect the citizens, and for the protection has to use power and sometimes even violence. And that violence is appropriate, but if the violence is done on the basis of scriptures and on the basis of um, the words of Lord, like what is being mentioned here, Krishna is asking Arjun that it is okay to fight, so that is appropriate. If the scriptures are saying, then it is appropriate. If you are doing it for protection of your um, kingdom, people in your kingdom, then that is appropriate. But if you're doing capriciously, just because you feel like you want to conquer or you want to, trouble people or exploit, that is not encouraged. So it has to be done in a proper consciousness. So all these things are mentioned. Any questions in this shloka? Any question you have? Any question anybody else has? It's pretty straightforward, right? It is very clear and straightforward. So we'll go to the next shloka. Okay. So please repeat after me. Swadharmam api chavekshya
स्वधर्ममपि चाविच्य
नाविकम्पितुमर्हसि
न विकम्पितम् अर्हसि
धर्म्याधियुद्धाश्रेयोन्यात् धर्म्याधि
धर्म्याधियुद्धश्रेयोनाथ
क्षत्रियस्य न विद्यते
क्षत्रियस्य न विद्यते.
Any volunteers who would like to read the translation and purport?
I can do it given that my mic is on.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. Considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles, and so there is no need for hesitation. Purport. One of the four orders of social administration, the second order for the matter of good administration, is called Kshatriya. Shat means hurt. One who gives protection from harm is called Kshatriya. Trait, to give protection. The Kshatriyas are trained for killing in the forest. A Kshatriya would go into the forest and challenge a tiger face to face and fight with the tiger with his sword. When the tiger was killed, it would be offered the royal order of cremation. This system has been followed even up to the present day by the Kshatriya kings of Jaipur state. The Kshatriyas are specially trained for challenging and killing because religious violence is sometimes a necessary factor. Therefore, Kshatriyas are never meant for accepting directly the order of sannyasa or renunciation. Non-violence in politics may be a diplomacy, but it is never a factor or principle. In the religious law books, it is stated.
I can read this.
Sure.
आहवेषु मिथोन्योन्यं जिघांसन्तो महीक्षितः युद्धमानः परं शान्त्या स्वर्गं यान्ति अपरान्मुखा यज्ञेषु पशवो ब्रह्मन् हन्यन्ते सततं द्विजः संस्कृतः कीलमन्त्रैश्च तेऽपि स्वर्गम् अवाप्नुवन्. Please
In the battlefield, a king or Kshatriya, while fighting another king envious of him, is eligible for achieving the heavenly planets after death, as the Brahmanas also attain the heavenly planets by sacrificing animals in the sacrificial fire. Therefore, killing on the battlefield on religious principles and killing animals in the sacrificial fire are not all at all considered to be acts of violence, because everyone is benefited by the religious principles involved. The animal sacrificed gets a human life immediately without undergoing the gradual evolutionary process from form to another. And the Kshatriyas killed on the battlefield also attain the heavenly planets, as do the Brahmanas who attain them by offering sacrifice. There are two kinds of swadharmas, specific duties. As long as one is not liberated, one has to perform the duties of his particular body in accordance with religious principles in order to achieve liberation. When one is liberated, one's swadharma, specific duty, becomes spiritual and is not in the material bodily concept. In the bodily conceptions of life, there are specific duties for the Brahmanas and Satriyas respectively, and such duties are unavoidable. Swadharma is ordained by the Lord, and this will be clarified in the fourth chapter. On the bodily plane, Swadharma is called Dharma, Varna Ashrama Dharma, or man's stepping stone for a spiritual understanding. Human civilization begins from the stage of Varnashrama Dharma, or specific duties in terms of the specific modes of nature of the body obtained. Discharging one's specific duty in any field of action in accordance with the orders of higher authorities serves to elevate one to a higher status of life. Thank
Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you. It was a long purport. Thank you for reading.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, a lot of points here. So, we'll have to discuss in detail this one. So, Krishna is saying, considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you to fight on religious principles. And so, do not hesitate. So, no hesitation, fight. It has to be according to religious principle. So, what was exactly religious principle? So, Krishna initially, when Pandavas and Kauravas were deciding to fight, Krishna was requested to be on the side of Arjun by Arjun. And Duryodhan was happy to take all the army of Krishna. When Krishna gave the option whether you want me alone or the army, Arjuna wanted Krishna and Duryodhan wanted the army. So it was easy for both of them. And at that time, Krishna told that we should try to take attempts so that we don't have to fight. And then there was a plan of um, basically Shanti Doot, or a peace messenger to be sent to Duryodhan and Dhritarashtra. And they negotiated such very, very easy terms. They said even if 5 villages Duryodhan is ready to give Pandavas back. Duryodhan had taken the whole kingdom from Pandavas. And now they are saying, okay, give 5 villages, and all the insults you did, all the attacks you did, everything they were ready to forgive. But Duryodhan said, I won't even give enough land equal to the tip of the needle. So then fight was inevitable, and Krishna had warned. So everything, all of those things were already attempted, tried, and done. And now they were in the battlefield about to fight. Arjuna is actually seeing the reactions, how it's going to cause so much problem. But this is not the time to go back from your duties. You're a Kshatriya, you have to actually go forward. So this is very appropriate shloka for this time. Kshatriya, this and even subsequent shloka which we'll come to next is very interesting. Actually, I can just read the translation of the next one also. Happy are the Kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the doors of heavenly planets. So, this is actually very practical, and we can see in daily life one who are passionate about their work, who want to do that work, they are very excited in the situation where they are able to go do and help out in that way. I remember during the COVID times, it was such a you know troublesome situation for the whole world, and a lot of people, it was not just physically but mentally draining for a lot of people, especially in healthcare. um, but at the same time, when the situation came and when all of this was happening, the doctors or the nurses who were passionate about their work, they were very excited. They were actually looking forward to it. They wanted to go and help the people, do the things which will actually give them relief from the suffering. Similarly, we see right now the time of war is there, India, Pakistan, having skirmishes. Uh, and in such situations, all the options were given for years uh, that fighting can be avoided. But if the terrorists had decided that they will attack and they will challenge and they'll do it repeatedly, then there is no other option. And in such situations, the Kshatriyas, they actually are looking forward to going and protecting their citizens, their country, and things of that nature. So, this is very important to understand that based upon one's modes of nature, one's particular occupation, one's dharma, those who are properly trained, they want to act in that way and actually be useful for the society and and solve the problem and give relief from suffering to the world. So in this particular purport, Srila Prabhupada is explaining the meaning of word Kshatriya. Shatrayate iti Kshatriya. Shat means hurt, Trayate means to gives protection, one who gives protection from getting hurt, that person is Kshatriya. So Kshatriyas, they are very passionate about protecting people. They can't see injustice. If injustice is there, their blood boils. If they see innocent people getting hurt or getting attacked or getting killed, they cannot take that. So that is the nature of Kshatriya. Kshatriyas want to give justice, and they're trained in that way. It's not just that you have your propensity, but you need training. And for the training, there are so many different training sessions happen from the childhood, and as they grow, get trained, Prabhupada is mentioning here, they are so strong and fearless that they are trained in sword fighting in different ways by going and attacking these wild animals like lions and tigers, and they'll fight with them. And seeing their heroism and seeing their fearlessness, the animals also may not necessarily mess with them. But there are situations when the tiger may attack, and it may appear, oh, it's so easy, you have the sword and you can fight. But bet you, if any ordinary person goes there who is not a Kshatriya, won't be able to take anything in front of the lion or tiger. Your sword will fail. You will really have no control. Even if you have the sword, you can't, because the lion, tiger, they're so fast. They'll do things so fast. They'll just attack in the neck and the person is dead. So this happens so fast, and you have to be very, very well trained in being able to do it. So Kshatriyas, they were looking forward to it, and Prabhupada gives the examples of these, Rajput kings in Jaipur who were doing it till recent times, it seems. So Prabhupada is saying violence is not encouraged, but at the time of need, violence is also not discouraged. It is a duty of the Kshatriya, and in such particular fights, even if one is having a risk for the life, a Kshatriya is okay with that. A Kshatriya actually loves to sacrifice and take risk for his life for doing the duty of protection. That is how Kshatriyas like. A Vaishya Vaishya means business people. Business people likes to take a risk with the money. They want to risk the money to get more money. Kshatriyas, they want to risk their life to get actually justice done. Brahmins, they are on the intellectual, spiritual level. They give the codes for engaging people. So they risk of being uh, poor. They live a simple life, and they are at a risk that, oh, what if nobody really take care of our needs? That is a risk which they take, but they don't go in accumulating, hoarding money and doing those kind of things. They actually give example of simple living, high thinking. And then Shudras, they are assisting all the other three. They're not necessarily having a very strong um, in one field. They are not excelling in any of these three fields, so they assist the others whom they are associated with, and that way they can advance. So there is a scope for advancement of each of these classes, and these are not by birth, these are by actions, by training, by nature. So anybody could be anybody in this day and age. Previously, of course, the environment you were born in, brought up in, that could help you get that training and get better at particular field. But now everybody is basically Shudra, so they can get training for um, excelling in any of these fields based upon their modes of nature. They should be encouraged to do what they are good at or inclined towards. And then Prabhupada is quoting from Vedic scriptures and explaining that Kshatriya who is ready to give his life in the battlefield is actually eligible for higher planets. Similarly, he is giving example of certain rituals which used to be practiced in the past and are not recommended for Kali Yuga. In these rituals, many times trained Brahmins will actually recite mantras, and by the recitation of the mantras there will be situations where the animals will actually die, and animals will die, and by the end of the mantra, by the end of the yajna, they actually will get a new body. So this is uh, very high, powerful, trained Brahmins who are excelling in these kind of rituals. They are the only who can do it. If they don't perform the yajna properly, then this will not happen. The animal will not die, and animal will not get birth, not get new body. So by this they will actually know that, oh, the yajna was not successful. So there are different ways in which these yagyas were conducted by trained personalities, but these are not recommended for Kali Yuga, because Kali Yuga we don't have such trained Brahmins, and these processes which were going on in the past are not recommended in Kali Yuga. But at the same time, the mention is that if anybody who dies in the battlefield as a Kshatriya or dies on this sacrificial altar, both of them get higher birth. So this is something which was quoted from the scripture, basically to highlight the point that even if Arjun dies, that also is not going to be a loss for him. And in the last paragraph, Prabhupada is mentioning about specific duties, swadharmas, and he's saying these are two types of specific duties. So one is the specific duties when one is not a liberated person. Generally people think liberation or moksha happens only after death, but that's not necessarily the case. There is uh, something called as Mukta Purush, which means that you are liberated and you are living your life. Means as you are conducting your everyday life, you are actually not living in the material realm, but you are actually in the spiritual realm. So you are already out of the clutches of death. You are actually out already liberated. You can see the great personalities, they, and powerful yogis and many mystics, they have a power by which they can choose when they want to give up their life many times. And Bhishma Patama, we know example, famous. But there are others also, and how they want to give up their life. So there are a lot of examples like that. So Mukta Purush, liberated personalities, they are actually not conducting themselves in the material realm. They are conducting themselves in the spiritual realm. So there are two kind of duties here Prabhupada is mentioning. One is for those who are not liberated. So not liberated, they have to perform their duties in this particular body in accordance with dharma in order to achieve liberation. So in according to dharma, they conduct themselves, they get advanced spiritually, and finally they are able to get to liberation. And those duties which are to be conducted in terms of dharma, they can be conducted in a certain way by kshatriyas, in another way by brahmanas, in another way by vaishyas, but all of them can conduct that and advance. When one is liberated, one's dharma, swadharma, specific duty becomes spiritual and is not in the material bodily concept. So when one is actually liberated, then one is not thinking from bodily conception and one is actually in the spiritual realm. And this will be confirmed or discussed and clarified in subsequent chapters. In second chapter we will see lot of material in the second chapter is given, but these aspects, concepts will be discussed in subsequent chapters. So that's why second chapter is also called as contents of Gita summarized, because Krishna gave lot of things compacted here which will be elaborated as Arjuna asks questions. More and more questions will reveal more and more aspects. So here Prabhupada is mentioning Varnashrama Dharma. So there is something called as Varna and something called as Ashrama. So there are four ashrams. Can anybody tell what are the four ashrams?
I know
So
one
first,
Grihastha ashram.
okay, good. So that is third. So first is the student life, which is the Brahmachari ashram.
Mhm.
And then the next is, so second one is Grahastha ashram. Then third is Vanaprastha ashram, when you are retired life. And fourth is Sannyas ashram. So these are the four ashrams. And what are the Varnas? Varnas are the Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. So these are the four Varnas and four ashramas. So this is called as Varnashrama Dharma. So why it is important? This helps us in adding spiritual life in our material duties. In our material duties and responsibilities, if we conduct it according to dharma, then that will actually help us advance. And this can be nicely done when varnashrama system is implemented. So if there is dedicated way in which the first few years are for training and getting them a good student training program, that would be brahmacharya ashram. Brahman means spiritual. So student life means you are actually learning about spiritual topics, spiritual subjects. Grihastha means now you are taking responsibility of not only yourself but others. So you have family, you have spouse, you take care of them and you do your duties. And then with time you understand that I have to retire from my material duties and connect with spiritual. So that will be a retired life, varnashrama, and then final is the sannyas. Now, here Prabhupada also mentions that for Kshatriyas, it is not that Arjuna can easily go away from fighting. So here he says, Kshatriyas are never meant for accepting directly the order of sannyas or renunciation. So Kshatriyas, they have to do their duty. They can't just, go away. Similarly, Vaishyas have to do their duties. Things of that nature are to be done with proper guidance, with proper time, with proper situation. So these are some of the aspects which are touched upon and highlighted in this particular shloka and purport. Any questions anybody wants to ask here? Because there are a lot of things we talked about, and if any um, questions are there, we can discuss them in more detail. But I tried to kind of summarize or and explain briefly.
I have a question.
Yeah,
Uh,
your voice is not very clear. Yeah.
okay, don't know. I don't know how to frame it right way, but um, I know like there are four dharmas in Bhagavad Gita is talking about. How can we follow those four? Like I know Brahma Kumari, I mean Brahmachari and all those are easy to follow. But how do you follow the 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 other two, the sannyas and the like renounce order in this given time and you know place? How do you follow those two? Like
Very good.
after a
Yes, very good
certain
question.
age you have to retire and then do all that.
Correct, correct. So your name is not coming here. It says Zoom meeting. Can you please share your name as well?
Yes, this is Rekha. Sorry, Rekha.
Oh, Hare Krishna Mataji. Okay, great.
Hare Krishna Guruji.
Okay, great. So this is very, very interesting and important question. So we know brahmacharya means student life, grihastha means householder where we are doing responsibility. How to practically apply the retired life, which is the vanaprastha. So vanaprastha literal meaning is vana means actually forest, prastha means you go to the forest. But in this day and age in Kali Yuga, like there is not really much understanding of what vanaprastha means. Like what do you mean going to forest? So basically, what it means is that practice spiritual life more than just family duty and responsibility. Family duty and responsibility, as we are in householder life, we are trying to get that wind up. So after that, when one is in vanaprastha, then one should be retired means you're not really focused on generating money and engaging in same kind of activities which you are doing in your householder life. So planning in such a way that we can take care of our children, get them settled, get our situation settled, and then see how we can maximize spiritual life, engaging more in practical understanding of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, assisting service to the in different ways, depending upon different people will be a little different. But where we are, how we can be active in the spiritual association, try to engage in services, maybe in the temple or teaching other people the science of Bhagavad Gita. Some people would do more traveling in these settings, where they can educate, help other people who are either students or in family life, and how they can actually engage. So basically vanaprastha means coming out of just thinking about you and your family and helping others more, advance people's spiritual life can be helped. And many of this will be done by people who are more experienced, and that is the idea of vanaprastha. And sannyas is the same thing. It's just the sannyas is not necessarily recommended for everybody in Kali Yuga. Sannyas is only for limited people in Kali Yuga. In fact, there are scriptures which says that sannyas is not recommended in Kali Yuga, because most people in Kali Yuga cannot follow it. So Vanaprastha is good enough actually, but those who are into sannyas, they get special training for sannyas, and then they can conduct the duties and responsibilities of sannyasi. And sannyasi basically means fearlessly depending upon the Lord. not really having one's own possessions and positions, and really focusing on how we can do spiritual upliftment of ourselves as well as the other members of the society. So that is sannyas, but sannyas is something which is going to be, only for limited people, so it's going to be off topic, talking that in details. But yes, vanaprastha is very, very important, practical, and something which we'll have to plan for while we are in household life. Does it make sense? Does it answer your question, Rekha Mataji? I can't hear.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, great.
Thank you very much. I always used to be confused about that part. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the nice question. Anybody else would like to ask any question in this?
I just had a question. I'm following from the previous question. Um, in this Kali Yuga, are we living? And oftentimes in the Kali Yuga, we are so overwhelmed with maintaining our life in different directions. But in this Kali Yuga, is it even possible to live all these ashramas together at the same time? I'm not talking about sannyasa, but other than that.
Okay, good.
Or are we living them simultaneously?
Yeah, so that's a good point. So in Kali Yuga, how are we practically applying this ashram concept? So the first thing is that if we see the way it is structured, if we apply, we can actually get a benefit out of it. Now, are we applying? I would say we are not necessarily able to apply right now because of so many different factors, the society and the culture, and the way things have been, spread so many decades and centuries. People don't have proper understanding of this. So first step comes by education, by educating people, making them understand. Were we practically applying this years ago? Yes, we were. Are we still having some areas where people are applying? Yes, there are a lot of areas actually where children are properly trained and they get the training of brahmacharya, and then they go to household life, get responsibilities, and those are actually um, the societies where we see more stability and more love and care for the children, for the next generation. Because if we do not have these practices, then what happens is there it's completely dislocated structure of the family system as well as society. So I'll give you an example. We living in America, right? So there is no training for proper conduct, so no brahmacharya, and then no grahastha. So if brahmacharya and grahastha is not there, so students or kids are not getting proper training, they are not sure what to do. Grahastha, there's no marriages, there's no proper taking of responsibility. So people are just, living like animals where they are going along having kids, but then the kids are not getting proper care and attention by both parents. And because that is not happening, kids are actually feeling very, very um, they are feeling they are unwanted. So they are not getting the love, the care, the attention which would have been natural in other settings. And then what happens, they get psychiatric problems, they get depression, they feel lonely, they feel not much people they can relate to. And then the next generation, because they are going to now have kids, and those kids will have similar problems. So that's why we are having so many problems in the society, because the children are not getting the love and the care and the attention from both parents, which is very important. And the society is not really wanting to intrude into anyone's personal decision, but at the same time they are not able to train responsible uh, citizens who take responsibility for themselves as well as others, and this is causing a lot of problem. So I would say there is option, an opportunity for everyone to understand and see how much in their own way they can contribute and accept this. uh, but it's not an ideal world, and we know we are not really anticipating it's going to necessarily be like a satyug, where it was all structured and everybody was following and everybody was aware of it. So like that we can see a lot of emphasis on reviving this, and some people have done it very, very successfully. There are mathas which are going on for long time in India, and there are new projects by ISKCON and others which are actually flourishing well. Um, but I think time will tell how much the society is able to um, understand this, and each one of us have a duty and responsibility to revive and bring people's attention to the spiritual aspect. And once people are serious about it, they feel like yes, this is something which is beneficial, they will be happy to try and take it. So this is what I can share. Does it make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Any thoughts you have?
No, I don't have any thoughts on that. I mean, yeah, no, I don't have any thoughts on that. Oh.
All right. Any other?
Basically, Prabhuji, it's like each and every householder has a duty how they can upbring their children in this day and age. Because I've also seen like how you're saying there's like in India there's the Matha organization or similar organizations. They teach children how to conduct the behavior in the right way. I feel even it is parents' duty individually to teach their children what's right and what's wrong. Um, I mean,
Yes,
that's my
absolutely.
personal experience because that's how my mom had taught me. And when she was alive, she used to tell me that keep an eye on your child and you teach your child what's right and what's wrong, because when they step out in the outside world, they will be coming across strong association of people. But if you teach them from home itself to discriminate between right and wrong, then most probably by grace of Krishna, they will be able to use that judgment. This is what I feel in this day and age, because I know as a whole society is not following that, but I think it's on individual basis how we train our children and how also we conduct our relationship in personally in our personal life or even outside.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mataji, for sharing that. Actually, taking care of the children, loving them is very important. And a part of taking care of the children is that we will be more mindful and introspective about our actions, because children learn more from our actions than from what we say. They will not learn so much by our words. We may say them something, but when they see us doing in a particular thing, then they pick up more. So first step would be that we will try to work on ourselves and try implementing the right things in ourselves, and then obviously giving love, care, attention to the children, they will get appropriate upbringing. And if they are loved and cared, then they will want to give love and care to others. And that is how we can actually bring more and more peace, harmony, love, and culture in the society. And that way each one will actually be more mindful and sensitive to others, uh, rather than being in a situation of quarrel, hypocrisy, and all of the negative qualities. Okay, so any
One,
other?
yeah,
Yes.
one point I was thinking is I think for all of these things to bring into action, we definitely in this you need a lot of mental shift, um, in terms of how we coordinate our mindsets and our thinking, and where do we find the space for the good karmas, or as it is explained here.
So probably going into the level of, and I can clearly see how spirituality and divinity has its action and impact on our mind and thinking patterns. And probably at this time, to calm down and think better is the main thing before we can even undertake an action. And I was just thinking in those terms to incorporate all of these ashramas and living behaviors into our life. So, I mean, important thing is where do we start? And so
Yeah.
that was another part of my
Yeah,
um
that's a good
thinking.
question. There are so many things, so many different aspects. Where do you start? Because the mind is most important. And that's why in Sanskrit, the word mantra is used. Man
Mm,
means mind, tra means to deliver. So we are always captured within the mind, right? By
mm,
the different ways the mind tricks us. So coming out of those tricks, mantra, deliver oneself from the trap of the mind. And that's why we recommend meditation on the sound vibrations of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. So this is a good start.
mm,
Meditating on this, you don't have to meditate for hours, just 10
mm,
minutes, 5 minutes. Take out some time and do it every day and practice mantra meditation, mindfulness. Every word hear very attentively. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Just if we do it for 5 to 7 minutes, which is one mantra, which is 108 times, we can see how consciousness will change for us. And this is like direct connection with the super soul, the Paramatma, the Lord within our heart. So these transcendental vibrations actually can help us start our spiritual journey, spiritual advancement, control of mind, and all of that.
mhm.
Okay, great. So thank you very much. I think we'll stop here. We did 31 today. So next week we'll start with 32. Tomorrow is a very auspicious day of Narsing Chaturdashi. So we will, have our Hindi conference. But I may, towards the end of that, I may share a little bit about the festival if time permits. But I'm sure you may have your local celebrations which you could join. Otherwise, at some point, I also do plan on speaking and also even having some activity like a quiz or something, Kahoot quiz on these topics. So that's something which we'll be planning in future. Just it'll be a little different flavor and also can be more joyful doing slight different things. Okay, I'll I think we'll end here. Thank you very much. Any other